Hey guys, it's Maymay. Welcome back to another video. You know I couldn't leave you hanging on these. If you watched this Thursday night, you would have seen us make all the little quilt panels that are here on the card. As you know, we had some bad weather come through our area and we thought we were going to have to leave our building because of the weather. We ended up not having to. Thank God it went around us. But I would appreciate if you guys would continue to pray for the neighboring areas around us that were hit very hard. And we also appreciate your thoughts and prayers for us. Thank you so much for that. But I didn't want to leave you hanging on these because when we left, all we done was the panels. So I wanted you to see how I mounted them. And I want you to see that I just put just a little note on every one. That stamp comes from our set called All Occasions, which I think is a wonderful set. And that's what I did. I just stamped that on every one. And you know, these are for a friend of mine. These are for my friend that owns the quilt shop in town, Penny. And I wanted to package them and I wanted you to see how I was going to do it. So that's the video we're going to do today, is package these guys. That was a lot to say. I'm sorry. I know that's a lot of chat. We'll move on. Okay. This piece of cardstock is gray linen cardstock from Cartabella. It is absolutely gorgeous. That's what we're going to use today. And I need to cut it down. I need a piece that is 7.5 by 10.5. That's what we're going to use. Now, you might be like, why would you cut down that whole piece of cardstock for this? I wanted to use this color, okay? And I didn't have this in an 8.5. So if you have it in an 8.5 by 11, you can make this happen from that and not have to cut that much of a 12 by 12. But you guys know me and I will use my scraps. All right, so here we go. We're going to take this piece here. We're going to put it into our scoreboard. So you'll notice today I'm going to use my embossing tool instead of my bone folder to do my scoring. I just think this metal ball works better here and it is a less opportunity to almost rip the paper, if that makes sense. So we're going to use this. Now our first score mark on our 7.5 inch side is 1.5 inches. And then our second is 6 inches. So just 2 marks on this side. Now we're going to turn it, okay? And where I want you to score it here, your first score mark is going to be 1 inch. I want you to score that at 1 inch. Your next score mark is going to be 3.5. And then we're going to score one more time at 5. Really simple score marks. All right, let's do some folding. Now, this piece here, this first piece is going to fold the opposite of all the other folds, okay? So what I'm going to do is just grab it and fold it up. It's going to be, I'm going to kind of make like a skirt around this little guy. Not a skirt, I don't know how else to explain it, but almost like a little ruffle or a little piece that kind of goes around the front of the box just for cutesy. So that's what is going to hold that, okay? Then the other score marks can all be folded the opposite way of that. And what I like to do is I like to line up my score marks and make sure I'm in the right spot before creasing. This cardstock is so gorgeous. It literally, this gray looks like man's suiting. You know what I'm saying? Like men's suit pants or dress pants with the little bit of linen texture in it. So pretty. All right, and then let's do the sides. Now I'm going to open this out. This is not going to matter here. Just fold this up. It'll be fine. You'll see why. We're actually going to make a little cut there. So that's why it won't matter which way we fold that. All right, and then let's do this side. Just like so. All right, now what I want to do is I'm going to make some slices, okay? Don't cut this end yet. We're going to save this for the end when we get to that point. What I want to cut really quick is right here. So I want to cut away this score mark on both sides. And what that means is on the left-hand side, I'm going to cut to the left-hand side of my score mark. So basically, the score mark is now on my tab, but not on my flap, okay? On the right-hand side, I want to cut to the right-hand side of my score mark, which will keep my score mark on my tab and not my flap. Now we're going to angle cut. I want to angle cut this little piece here on both sides so I can get rid of some bulk when I go to fold. These are things y'all heard me say for years, isn't it? I feel like I say this about 3 times a month, really, when I make these videos. To see our little angle cuts, that's what we're doing. I'm going to flip this around, and again, on the left-hand side, I'm going to do the left-hand side of the score mark. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to do the right-hand side of the score mark. That just takes that kind of unsightly wiggle off of the page and no one has to see it. Let me get that out of my way so I don't slice into it. Get our little angle there. The size of these angles don't really matter. You won't see this in the finished product, so they really don't matter. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're just going to grab a pencil, okay, and we're gonna fold a couple things. We're gonna fold this flap forward, all right, and then I'm going to just mock fold the sides. You see what I'm saying? I'm just gonna hold it here like this, not gluing it yet, okay? And what I'm wanting to do is get the distance from here to here marked, because we're gonna do an angle cut. So I'm just gonna take my pencil and make a mark right where that meets, okay? I'm gonna do the same on the other side. Now, one thing I wanna show you is, do you see how I'm pushing this piece to the back? We want this flap on the side. We don't want this flap tucked under, okay? So make sure you have that out. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. Square this guy up, all right? And make a pencil mark. Now, why am I doing it this way and not just making a measure? You know, if you do it this way, if your folds are a little bit off, everything will still line up. But sometimes when we just like measure to a point and cut, it doesn't always line up perfectly. All right, let's make a cut. So I'm gonna take my trimmer, and from my pencil mark to the, you know what? I just made a design change right here looking at you guys. Here's what I'm gonna do. I am gonna make another little mark, because, let me show you. Originally, I was going to cut from this pencil mark to here, but I think I want a little bit of a side left. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my grid mat, and I'm going to make a mark 1/2 inch in from that score mark on both sides. You'll see why in a minute. Talk about, you know, squirrel. That was a pivot right there, okay? So 1/2 inch in from our score mark, I made a little pencil mark. Now we're going to cut on that line. You'll see why. You know, sometimes we just have ideas while we're going, right? And that's what we go with. So pencil mark to pencil mark on my cut line, okay? Then I'm going to sink my blade and go up and down. And see, now I'll have a little more body on the side of the box. I like that. I'm glad I thought of that. Okay, now then, this little guy, same way, sink the blade up and down. And we end up with this really cute box. It looks like we had a die cut or something to do it with just this little curved side. Okay, I told you I was going to do something different down here, and here's what I did. I cut a piece of cardstock that is 1 inch by 7, and I just glued it right on top of where that little fold is. And you can see that little bit that's showing. That's because I want to make sure that it's below the score and not above, so I get a nice clean fold. Here's what I want to tell you though. If you don't think your border will go through both pieces of this, your border punch will go through both, just cut a little bit of this off of this gray, then punch this guy with your border punch and glue it on, okay? That way the gray won't show behind your little edge, if that makes sense. All right, I wanted it to be there because I want it for stability. And I also think putting a little weight to the front is a good idea for when I put the cards in. Now what I'm gonna do is take my border punch, and I'm going to eyeball center the bottom. So what I'm looking at, I'm gonna hold that like that. I'm looking at how much is hanging off here versus here, and I'm trying to get that to be the same. It won't be exact, but we're not gonna stress about that. It's not a perfect science, you know? All right, so now I'm just gonna go through and do my little border punch. I love border punches. They're one of my favorite things. I'm sorry if that flap keeps getting in y'all's way. Trying to keep it from it. See how cute that's gonna be to have that little edge? Love that. If you're not confident in your border punching, I know sometimes you can get off or wiggle or something like that. You might want to do it off of the page and then glue it back on after the fact, but I'm good. Now here's what we're going to do. I told you I wanted to slice. This is where we're going to slice. We're going to slice on the score mark, not beside it on either side, but on it, okay? So I'm going to come right here and I'm going to slice this score mark up to where it meets that fold, okay? So I'm going to do it right here the same. And this way, when we fold this guy together, you'll see what will happen. Those will turn around the side, and that's what we want them to do. Now we can start gluing, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to glue this flap to the back. I think that'll help our piece stay together nice and sturdy. So I'm going to put glue on this flap, and I'm going to bring the back up. I'm going to glue those together, lining them up where the back is nice and straight. Okay, so get that nice and even and nice and straight. And then I'm going to do the other side just the same. Now, I'm going to add paper to this, like cover it with cardstock. You might want to go ahead and do that before you assemble. I'm going to go ahead and assemble and then put my cardstock on. But if you want to do that first, you want to do that before you start gluing this part, okay? But I'll show you how I'm going to do it. All right, so we've got that done. Now I'm going to bring these two flaps to the back, and I want to glue them down below our ruffle. All right, so I'll show you what I mean. Basically, this panel here. So we're going to put glue into this panel, or onto this panel. And then we're going to close that up like so. I love making boxes, y'all. 3D and boxes are my fave. And I want to get that nice and even, nice and square. Then we're going to lay it down and press it. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Glue on this back panel. And then close this down. I love how that looks already. Now, the reason I did this slice, okay, I tried doing it with my sample, not slicing it, and it just makes the corners just not so cute, okay? I plan to put a piece of ribbon around this anyway that's going to kind of hold that down, but it just looked better on the corners to do that. And see, by adding that little 1/2 inch, how we get that cute side? Love that. All right, let's put our other cardstock on. Now, what I did with my cardstock was I went through and got cardstock that matched all of the cards I made. That'll be either difficult or very easy. It will depend. If you use one paper pack to make all of your quilt cards, it'll be super easy. Just use paper from the same paper pack to cover everything, okay? If you don't, do what I'm doing. I'm just making a very neutral box so that everything you put in it will match. And I'm just leaning black and white and yellow. I'm also going to do yellow. And the reason is I found that yellow was a color that ran through all of my quilt cards. And it'll work just perfect. Every time she pulls out one, it'll still match the box, if that makes sense. Now, I'll have the measurements of these little panels for you in the description, or in the blog post that's linked in the description. So you can be sure you can get these two and not have to figure them out. But they are just cut 1/4 inch smaller than where we're putting them, okay? So let's do the sides. And I'm also going to cover the back. I think it'll be pretty, especially if this is something that I'm going to refill for my friend. And that's something I want to encourage you. When you give this to your friend, if you give a card or a tag or something to go with it, let them know that when they get to the end, if they'll let you know, you will refill this box for them, that it comes with free refills. Wouldn't that be cute? I think they'll really like that. So put that in your card, or just when you hand it to them, just tell them, hey, this box comes with free refills. So after you've given all these cards out, let me know, and we'll fill it up again. I think that'll be cute. Press that down. All right, let's decorate a little bit. So my plan for decorating is I want to put a ribbon around the box and around the sides to hold it down. And what I'm going to do is come back here to the back, and I'm going to find a spot to put my ribbon. I think that line right there will be perfect. Let me hold that around and see. Yep, that's going to work just fine. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a pencil and mark that line so I'll know which one it is. That won't show in a few minutes. I'm going to apply a little bit of tape here. I'm going to turn this where I can see it. I'm going to apply a little bit of double-sided sticky tape here just to hold my ribbon in place. You could use glue, but I find with what I'm fixing to do, this will make it easier. And I'm just going to put a piece that I know will hide under my ribbon. There we go. Just going to cut that because I got my scissors close and I won't have to pull. And then I'm going to reveal that backer. And I'm going to start my ribbon in it. Now, I always give myself too much ribbon. I've told y'all this before. I'd rather have too much and have to trim it off than not have enough. I'll lay that right there. And then I'm just going to press that into place, and that'll hold that still for me. All right, now I'm going to bring it around to the front. And I may even add a little bit more. I may not, though. I don't want to tie this super, super tight. I want it to have a little bit of body. But I'm going to bring this down and see about how much ribbon I'm going to need. And go ahead and cut me some off here. As per usual, I have too much ribbon. That's fine. All right, I'm going to stick this guy through. I'm going to tie this. And like I said, I don't want it super tight. I want that to still have a little bit of body, but I'm going to slide it into place and tie a bow here. Now, if you're not confident with bows, just wrap a full piece of ribbon around and use a pre-tied bow or wrap the ribbon around it, and then put your ribbon around what you've wrapped, and then tie your bow if you don't feel confident holding it like this and doing it. Pull that snug. All right, and let's trim these. There we go. I just think that's cute. Just a little something extra. You also could add a sentiment here or something like that. I think this box is cute. Let me show you what it looks like with the cards in it. So I have 8 note cards and 8 envelopes, and they fit in here perfectly. Look at that. It's going to stand up great. Isn't that cute? And here's what I meant by keeping your box neutral. Let's say she uses these two. They're in this colorway. That one still matches. See that? Then if she uses these two, that one still matches just fine. And then these two. Everything still matches. Now that may not matter. Again, that may not be a big deal to you, but I think it's super cute. That'll always look cute if you want to sit this on, if she wants to sit it on her desk or what have you. So there you go. That's how I'm going to wrap mine up. Also, I'll show you, I did not cover this side. I don't think it's necessary, but if you want to, you can. You'll just use this as the angle to cut for your little piece that you put here, but I think it's fine. Look, covered in the back and everything. Beautiful. I love it. And that is how I'll be giving this little set of gift cards or note cards to my friend. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know you guys always love a good box to put things in. And I'll tell you, I think this will hold more. I think I could put at least 2 more cards in, so that would be 10. And if your cards weren't quite as thick as mine, you might could get 12 in there. That's a really good size little gift, and it holds the envelopes well. I love it. I think it turned out cute. All right, guys, you know the deal. If you make one, I want to see it. Head to my customer gallery at MaymayMadeIt.com and share photos of what you're making, or go to our Facebook group, become a member there, and share what you're making there. There are so many quilt cards being posted right now, and it makes my heart happy because I love seeing them. If you have an idea you'd like to see in the quilt card world, let me know in the description below. I'm always interested in new ideas, and I would love to give it a try. Thanks so much for watching today, and until next time, bye now.